What is going on, guys? DBG here, and this is episode number 7, I think, of the series where I rate your guys, well, your squad. So basically, if you guys want me to rate your squad for the next episode, rather than replying to a specific tweet, because I don't know, it's just that kind of got a bit awkward for this one, trying to look back on some of them. So literally just tweet at me, follow me on Twitter at DBGYT_, and just tweet at me a picture of your team with hashtag #RateMyTeam. And yeah, that will pretty much be it. So I'm going to rate the team and also tell you guys how I think I would fix it. So first of all, this is a guy who says mostly pick and rolls and pick and pop, drive and kicks, which again is the style of play I play right now. No MT, but willing to sell players. And let's have a look at the team. So you've got one player that I think definitely needs to be replaced. And it's not that this card's not good. I just think for his MT total, he is not good. And that was a really kind of weird thing to say. But I mean, he's just not good value. And that player is Terrence Ross. I think Terrence Ross is really good. But as we've seen from the last 2 or 3 weeks, 2K are just releasing some ridiculously overpowered players. The fact is that you could swap out Terrence Ross for Lamar Odom, who's significantly better than T. Ross, and make a profit. So, one, that's something I would do. So what I would do is I'd sell T. Ross and I'd put Lamar Odom at the 4 as your starting power forward. And then on the bench, I would probably put someone like an Evan Fournier. And you're pretty much covered then. You've got a load of range extender players. You've got guys like Jamal Murray who can attack the basket a little bit in your bench. On your starters, you've got a guy to run everything through in... You've got Paul George and Lamar Odom to run everything through. And you got Rick Smits, Karl Anthony Towns. Your center and power forward on your bench are fine. The Cat and Jaren Jackson Jr. combination is really good. Rick Smits is great starting center. Nothing wrong with your 2 point guards. Sure, like having some clamps players in there would be nice at the point guard position. But the thing is that if you're on a budget, you're either giving up offense or you're giving up defense. So if you want defense, you can get the likes of Lucius Allen or Drew Holiday. And then again, those are the type of players that have very little offense, whereas Devontae Graham, Jamal Murray, while they're not the best defensive players, are elite offensive players. So I don't know. It all depends on what you want to give up, and for pure enjoyment of the game, I will never tell anyone on a budget to pick defense over offense. Trust me. So now we are on to this team right here. So run a lot of pick and pop, like score and fast break. And this guy's got a kind of similar team, not much defense. He's got 90 overall, Terrence Ross. Again, another player I would sell because for his price, you're probably getting 20-ish KMT for him. And that is a kind of ridiculous price for an amethyst like that, especially one with no clamps. And he is a good card, don't get me wrong, but definitely not worth it. Last 3 off the bench is fine with Lucius Allen, Rick Smits, and Paul Pierce, especially because Lucius Allen is a defender, which none of your point guards are, which is important. You've got 2 good clamps players at the 2 guard. You've got around 75 KMT budget, so I'd sell T. Ross, and like the first team I'd say is probably a 7.5 out of 10. This is probably an 8.5 out of 10 because for a budget squad, this is really good. There's not many other people that I would suggest to switch. Once again, I just think Terrence Ross isn't the best value, but other than that, like if you want to spend a lot of your MT, Paul George is a significant upgrade. Eddie Johnson is also a significant upgrade over Terrence Ross. And apart from that, there's not much. So depending on the price of Eddie Johnson, that might be a good player to look into getting there. But I like Powell, I like Richardson, I like Petrie and Graham. I like your last 3 off the bench, what they bring, and how they bring different things to the rest of the team. So yeah, a good squad. I'm actually going to change my rating for within your price range. That's a 9 out of 10. So please rate no money spent squad. 8-player rotation, don't know who to choose to sub. So 8-player rotation is crazy. And if you want an 8-player rotation, you got to make sure your 3 subs on your bench are 1 point guard / basically they cover the 5 positions. That's all that matters. So I always would advise you guys run a 10-man, not an 8-man rotation, especially. And it doesn't, if you're running with 13 players, definitely don't run an 8-man rotation. So your starting lineup is, let's say 9 out of 10. Your bench is probably a 6 out of 10 because you've got 5 players that aren't very good, or 4 players that aren't very good. I don't know, like, Magic's not very good, Marion's not very good, Drummond, Weber, and Mutombo aren't very good. So you've got a lot of not very good players on that bench. The bench is horrendous. Because of how bad the bench is, I'm going to rate this team 6.57 out of 10, even though your starting line is probably a 9 out of 10. Embiid's fine. Bowen's fine. I get rid of the rest of your bench. Actually, no, Francis is fine as well. You've got no MT. So, obviously, these guys are all kind of locked in, which makes a little bit more sense now. I'd sell Dikembe. I don't know if he's still going for 40k, and just hoard that MT, replace him with Rick Smits. But I wouldn't even use him in the squad. Or, yeah, replace him with Rick Smits. Keep Bowen. Go get yourself even someone like a Norman Powell will help out your bench a little bit. And I don't know, like, your starting line is perfect. Don't worry about that. The bench needs a lot of work, and I don't even know what player. If you're only want to run an 8-man rotation, you've got center power forward covering Embiid. You've got 2 guys small forward covering in Bowen, and Bowen's a beast, so I'm not going to say to get rid of him. So you basically just need a point guard, and Francis is actually good there. So if you are crazy enough to run an 8-man rotation with this lineup, you've got your 8 players there. You don't need anyone else. But if you were to run a 10-man rotation, I'd advise you to pick up probably a Norman Powell to play at the 2 with this lineup. And you've got like ultra clamps in Powell and Bowen to guide your team's best 2 offensive players. And then at the power forward position, I'm trying to think for no MT who's worth it. I'd actually go Giants. I'd go Giant lineup. I'd go with Joel Embiid and Rick Smits. That would be a nice lineup there. You've got that would be one of the best defense lineups in the game, and it allows Steve Francis to do what he does best, which is play offense. And also, you don't need to worry too much then about Steve Francis. There's not really much of a defensive ability, so that kind of covers that if you were on a 10-man rotation. But again, if you are set on 8-man rotation, you've already got your 8-man rotation sorted. You don't need to worry about any other players. So usually kick out for 3, but sometimes drive. Well, like, you kind of have to drive before you kick out for 3, but okay, so I like KG on your bench. I like your power forward center combo. Odom, perfect. Obviously, you can play. You're a decent player if you've got Clyde Drexler. As I always say, if you have the ability to go 12-0, if you can win 12 games straight, you're always a good player. No matter what system, what servers, if you can ever win 12 games or something in a row, you're a good player. Trae Young is a liability on defense, but not a bad card. Really good on offense. Jason Williams is just a liability, period. Yeah, I get it. He's got Hall of Fame quick first step. Release is broken. Release is broken, can't play defense, and can't go to the basket. So he is just straight up a liability. Doug West is okay. Yeah, like, I wouldn't personally have Dwight Howard in there, but it's fine if you want a rebounder. That's fine. Your last 3 off the bench, get rid of Cliff Hagan. He sucks. He's terrible. Zion, and I'd move Shea Gilgeous-Alexander to 6th man or to your backup point guard and get rid of Jason Williams. And then Zion's fine. I don't rate the card that highly, but I'm not saying it's a bad card. I'm not going to tell you to get rid of him because he is a decent card. And then last 3 off the bench, just go and get yourself, because of how bad Trae Young is on defense, I go and get a Lucius Allen, just because he's a budget player and he's not going to break the bank, especially because he's only going to be a situational player. As one of your last 3, there's no point breaking the bank on him. And if Trae Young's being absolutely torched, he can come in and do a job there. Zion there is fine. And then just get yourself a center. As always, I will always suggest to get Rick Smits because he's legitimately the best center up there with the best centers I've used in the game. But this team is probably a 8 out of 10. Not a bad squad at all. Probably 7.58 to 8 out of 10. 150k to 200k budget, drive and kick or jack up 3s. So, okay. I'd swap Odom and McDaniel. That is a nice combo. That's a nice combo. Starting lineup. Defensively, it's good. Actually, no, I keep Odom at the 4. Yeah, you're right. We're going with that. Jaren Jackson Jr. is good. A tough player to run in a 10-man rotation, though. Because, again, if you've got no real backup, you can get bullied. Devontae Graham is fine to run at the point. Terrence Ross in this scenario is fine to run. Also, Kobe White, I don't rate that card at all. Just saying. I do not rate that card. Steady shooter, no dunk tendencies. I much prefer the Sapphire. Levine is a beast. Zion. I wouldn't run Zion at the 4, especially if you got an undersized 3. If anything, if you're set on keeping these cards, I'd play Zion as your starting 3 and put McDaniel on your bench at the 4. But that kind of weakens your starting lineup quite a bit. So players that I would replace, your 1, 2, 3 in your starters are fine. Your 2, 3 on your bench is fine. As much as I don't like Drummond, your centers are probably fine. You got 2% to do different things. Lamar Odom's fine. So I would replace Zion with Pascal Siakam, and I would replace Kobe White with... Look, you've got plenty of MT, so there's no point not suggesting this card because he is an absolute god. I would suggest to use the Diamond Oscar Robertson, who is fantastic. If you were managing Dion Waiters, he's even better to be one of the point guard, but Oscar Robertson's really good. So now we are on to this squad right here. 250k budget. I like to shoot threes with all your players, get good looks with them. Okay. Play good overall defense. That's a given. Hope you rate this squad and want to improve it. So actually, I don't think I rated the previous squad. This is probably a 6.5 to 7 out of 10. This squad right here is... I like the starting lineup. I like the bench. I don't necessarily dislike the last 3, but I would rate this probably a 8 out of 10 for the budget. So, okay, Lillard and Harden as your 2-point guards. Neither of them play defense. In your starting lineup, you've got Melo as well, who doesn't play defense. I like McDaniel. Kobe, AD, Cat. I like that 4. I would get rid of Jaren Jackson Jr. as much as I like the card, because he is basically a worse version of Cat. And you've already got Gilmore as one of your last 3 off the bench. And Gilmore can just do a job as like a big man if you are struggling inside, especially with Cat. There's no real position on this team that Jaren Jackson Jr. fit. Actually, no, there is somewhere where he could fit. And I tell you, it's why you should keep him in the squad, actually. So I would push Lamar Odom to the 3, move Jaren Jackson to the 4 because he's got clamps, he's got some length, he rebounds well, and he actually is fantastic for me at the 4. And I would get rid of Carmelo Anthony, get a decent amount of MT for him, and I'd hoard. I would hoard MT. Derrick Rose is fantastic, but I think we're going to get a similar card very soon. With does everything Rose does. I'd hoard, yeah. I'd sit in it. I'd get rid of Carmelo Anthony. I'd put in probably Paul Pierce, who's a slightly worse Carmelo Anthony. He's one of your last 3 off the bench. And I would put Jaren Jackson to the 4. Yeah, this team, I think I might rate this team even higher. This team's probably a 8.5 out of 10, and I would just sit in your MT. There is absolutely no point in spending the MT at this stage. The team's fine. There is any improvement to this squad will cost a lot more than 250k MT, but soon enough you'll be able to make improvements with cheap. Like, if you want to make a significant improvement, like the suggestions I'll be making are get T-Mac or get Yao or something, and Yao's not even much of an upgrade. Or like, again, Derrick Rose. Spend your entire MT on that one guard, so it's just not worth it. Sell your Melo and keep your nest egg of MT. Okay, so please rate my no money spent squad. I run no plays, it's fine. ISO dribbling and driving kick, that's perfectly fine. Ideally you want to stay above 500k. Okay, so T-Mac's fine. Yeah, it was fine. This team is probably I'm gonna say a 9 out of 10. Very, very close to a 10 out of 10. You're probably Baron Davis away from being like a 9.5 out of 10. And also getting rid of Jay Rich, to be honest. Okay, so you've got them all. I would not lock in for Ray Allen. I'm just saying that right now. Smart decision not locking in for Ray Allen. Your point guard rotation is fine. Baron Davis would be perfect if you have him, but obviously if he's not in the squad, you probably don't. Your 2, 3, I get rid of Jason Richardson. Straight up, I would get rid of him. and replace him with probably, I go Eddie Johnson probably. So I got Eddie Johnson, Tracy McGrady, Kobe Bryant, and Jimmy Butler, or Paul George, one of the two. Actually, no, I put in Eddie Johnson for, no, I put Paul George into 2, and I'd sell Carmelo Anthony and put in Eddie Johnson. And then you're fine. That's it. That's literally the only change I make to this team. This is a near perfect team. So yeah, this is a fantastic team. So there's no point even spending any MT, or unless you need, say, Paul George. The 100 or so KMT it is for Paul George. Get him in there, put him into 2. That'll have you down to about 600 something KMT. Sell Melo, get Eddie Johnson. I'm guessing they're around the same price, and you're golden. This will be one of the best teams in the game. So that is a good team. Okay, rate the squad. Any suggestions taken? So 1, I would swap Chris Bosh and Jaren Jackson Jr. because Jaren Jackson Jr. has got like 70 strength compared to Bosh's 83. Your bench is fine. Not gonna lie, bench is fine. Obviously you have Clyde. If you have Baron Davis, I put Baron Davis in there, but again, probably not if he's not in there. I really like Dion Waiters. I think he's right up there with the best point guards in the game, even at Ruby, and especially once he gets to Diamond. John Stockton's really good. If you don't plan on getting Ray Allen, I would sell John Stockton and buy Kyle Lowry. They're basically the same card, but Kyle Lowry is way cheaper as far as I know. If Kyle Lowry is more expensive, obviously discard that, but I'm pretty sure Lowry is cheaper and they're essentially the same card. J.R. Smith, Neek, Blake, Serge Ibaka, that's fine. This team's probably a solid 8.5 out of 10. Not many suggestions to make. I can obviously swap Bosh and Jackson. Blake's fine. J.R.'s fine. Penny's a bit of a weird one, but again, last year at the bench was just situational play and he can't play offense. Clyde Drexler is decent. Amare is decent. You got no bigs in your team though, so Amare is like basically more of what you have, a kind of fast stretch 5, and you already have enough of them, and it's not like they lose stamina too quickly. So I would just put in a giant. I'd put in a legit center. Again, the one I'm going to suggest, the one I'm always going to suggest is Rick Smits. But yeah, no, this team's good. Okay, can I get constructive criticism about my team? Any improvements? Okay, so I'm going to have a look at this team. So your point guard rotation of JoJo and Big O. JoJo is the man, the myth, the laner. He is quite a good card. Big O is good as well, good in the post. I really like the combo of Kobe Bryant and Eddie Johnson. And the more I think about it, the more I like the combo of Jimmy Butler and Siakam. You've got a lot of length, you've got really good defenders, and you got one range extended shooter. And as someone who's played with that combo of Eddie Johnson and Kobe, I know how effective that combo is. This is like from 2 to 5, this is like a 9 point. Considering you have no MT, this is like a 9.5 out of 10. There are very, very few changes with this amount of MT that I'd make from 2 to 5. Maybe I would... I can't even think of anything off the top of my head. If you could sell Odom or sell Davis, push Siakam up, and if you could somehow find a way to afford Paul George, your point guards are probably for that MT level, probably a 7 out of 10. And so what I would do is I would sell JoJo and sell Big O. As much as I do like both of them cards, I would buy Amethyst, Devontae Graham, and play him at the 1. Not that much worse. Probably probably better than JoJo, but also significantly cheaper. And then Oscar Robertson, it's hard to get a cheaper version of him. I'm trying to think a player that'll do everything. Just actually replace him with a defender. Replace him with Ruby Lucius Allen. And look, you've made a tiny downgrade to your point guard position. Especially because you can run, and then your primary ball handler in your bench should be Lamar Odom anyway. Because that's, if you use Odom as primary ball handler, he's a beast. And then push Siakam up to the 4, sell Anthony Davis, and then get Paul George in. Or if you can just swap out JoJo White for Devontae Graham, sell Davis, buy Paul George, that'd be perfect as well, and keep Big O, but I don't think you would be able to. But yeah, no, that's just a suggestion. But again, this team's really good. Probably 8.5 to 9 out of 10. Really good. Okay. Run Giannis's ball handler, kick out to 3 for Peja. Sometimes switch Peja and Giannis around. 350k MT for upgrades. So, if this was 2 days ago, you've lost a hell of a lot of MT and Peja Stojakovic. Okay, so team is Bob, Kuzi, Levine, Peja, Giannis, Gilmore. Considering the fact you've got Peja and Levine, you at one stage would have had well over 1 million MT. And you've got Moncrief Diamond in your squad, Jerry Stackhouse, Bob McAdoo, and Bob Sura. I'm sorry, I can't, like, as much as I like Zach LaVine, as much as Giannis is fantastic, this is a 3, no, actually, for the fact that you have them type of cards and that amount of MT, it's a 2.5 out of 10. 2.5, maybe less. Like, honestly, I think you can make if you take Giannis out of this team, or if you take LaVine out of this team, you can make a 25k squad to clamp up this team right here. Being dead serious. You could clamp up a team like this with 25k MT. Okay, so first of all, I'm not going to say Kuzi's a bad player. I just think that he's a significantly worse Kyle Lowry. Bob Sura, not a bad player, but a significantly worse, a lot of players, I guess. Moncrief is a worse Norman Powell. Norman Powell is better than Moncrief. Jerry Stackhouse, even Paul Pierce for 2k MT is better. Bob McAdoo isn't bad card, but AC Green is better. Jokic cannot play defense. Sell Jokic and pick up Cutler and Embiid. Josh Richardson fine, Dwight fine, Dale Ellis. I still think he's a little bit past his prime, but he's fine as well. But this team, there's too many things to switch. Peja's fine. Giannis, perfect. I would replace every one of those token rewards because they're not good enough. You can get better players in the auction house for 15k MT than individually than all of those token rewards. The only one I'd even consider keeping is Artis Gilmore, but I'd replace Dwight. I'd put Artis Gilmore as your backup center. I would then replace Dwight and Jokic. Considering the MT you have, I would replace them with Cat and Embiid. Your 2-3-4 is fine in your starting lineup. Replace Kuzi with Kyle Lowry. Off the bench, if you want a slasher, I don't even know what to use for Sura. Just Kobe White's probably as good as Sura. Then I would put Norman Powell in. And at the 4, just to save MT, I just put an AC Green, maybe, if you want to use that type of player. And at the 3, Pierce is fairly okay for fairly cheap, and you're not completely losing all your MT for future upgrades. But yeah, we hadn't really seen a bad squad yet, and sorry if you are watching this. Not gonna lie, this is not a very good squad. But anyway, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.